Hello, everybody. It is Catherine here from Continue the Magic, and I have your news update for the week of May 19th. So, we have some really exciting stuff coming up real soon. We have two new attractions opening up. So, we've got two at Walt Disney World. One is also opening over in Disneyland. So, this is really exciting news. I also have some transportation information updates that might help you out this summer. So, let's get started. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. It really helps me out at the channel, and it makes sure that you never miss a news update. So let's start with the new ride film that is coming to Soarin. So this is going to open at both Epcot and at Disneyland, and this is going to be Soarin' Across America, which is going to celebrate the 150-year celebration of the United States. So with this one, we've now got the locations that we're going to be visiting as we soar over the United States. So we're going to be kicking off with an Artemis rocket launch over Cape Canaveral. So really good way to kind of kick off this new ride film. Then we're going to head over to New York Harbor. You're going to see the World Trade Center. You're going to see the Statue of Liberty. So iconic views there as well. Next, sticking with the water theme, we're going to head over to Portland, Maine, and we're going to see that coastline that was harbor areas. Next, over to Washington, D.C., we're going to go over the National Mall and head towards the monument. Next, getting a little more central, we're heading over to Louisiana. Then we're going to go to West Virginia, see some railway and some autumn colors there. And then we're moving over into South Dakota to go see Mount Rushmore. We're going to get some beautiful colors and views heading into Arizona to see the Grand Canyon. And then we're going over to Montana to see a cattle drive. Of course, we have to go over to Hawaii, so you're going to get some hibiscus scent as you go over Hawaii there. We're going to go to LA, and you're going to go over the Griffith Observatory and near the Hollywood sign. And of course, the grand finale, as always, will return to the home park so that you get that kind of final view of the actual park that you're in. So really excited for this one. Obviously, great news. Patrick Warburton has come back to redo the intro for this film. So that is really exciting as well. So the previews are happening already. I'm filming on the 19th. The annual pass holder previews are the 19th and 20th. The day this comes out, the 21st, is when the DVC previews are. So this is coming up real soon, and I can't wait to see the new film. I'm always going to be a little bit partial to the original. I love Soarin' over California. Soarin' over the world is nice, but there's something nostalgic about that original California version. But I'm excited to see what they do with this next. And it's nice to have something that they can rotate through these different versions. I'm sure they will continue to make these over the years. It's a great way to drive people back to this attraction. And this attraction does keep pretty good attendance. So it's worth them doing these investments every so often. Now let's talk about the Muppets takeover of Rockin' Roller Coaster. So this one is getting so close, and the more I see of it, the more excited I get. So they have released some footage from the pre-show, and that animatronic of Scooter looks absolutely amazing. Not only is he super fluid, but you can even see kind of the stick that you would have for the classic Muppet style. So I love that even though he's an animatronic, they still make him look like a puppet, like that original style. So really leaning into the history here, but he is so fluid. It's so natural. It really looks like Scooter is just there in front of you. We also got to see a little bit of the Penguin audio animatronic engineers. So it's really cool to see a little bit more interaction in that space, because typically you had that large area that was staged, but there was nothing happening in there. So there's a little bit more movement in this pre-show now. So also on the screen here, we got to see a little bit of a sneak peek that not only are we going to see the Electric Mayhem on the big screen, but that we're also going to see Beaker and Dr. Honeydew, who are kind of souping up the limo to get us across town in time. So there's a little bit of a sneak peek of Beaker kind of being blown into the screen there. So nice to see that not only are they in the storyline, but that we're actually going to see them as well. So the real surprise here is that we're getting Statler and Waldorf back in the attraction as well. So this was not expected, but Disney Parks did put out some social media clips of this that you can see that they are actually in the attraction as audio animatronics as well. So this is super exciting. From the clips, it looks like they are likely in that kind of load and launch area because you can see the cars going by as the filming's happening. So it looks like they're kind of going to be heckling you as you load and launch in this space. They've even tied in some of the classic jokes from the Muppet 3D show. So really nice to see that they got to tie these in there and that these guys are back in action. So a lot of animatronics in this. This is really exciting news. I love what they're doing with this. I can't wait to see the rest of it. It really does seem like they're putting a lot of thought and detail into it, and that they're trying to do right by the Muppets, knowing that they have closed Muppets Courtyard and that this was the new representation. I think they really went all out. So we'll still have to see how this all turns out. The cast member previews have already started, and some of the feedback seems really positive around that. The annual pass holder previews, that's going to be the 21st and 22nd of May, and then DVC previews are going to be on the 23rd. Now, do keep in mind at the end of these preview days, if they have gone through all of their scheduled times, they do have a tendency to open it up to the general public. So even if you're not an AP or a DVC member, if you are in the park on those days, especially later in the afternoon, early evening, it might be worth hanging around the area and seeing if you can potentially get on either of these attractions. Now, also in the Muppets Courtyard, the food truck has been redone there. So it is going to be food by the Swedish chef. So nice that they're going to extend that branding and that Swedish chef is going to get a space in the park. What I would love to see is for him to kind of be in the front of the truck and pop up every so often. That's probably being a little ambitious. They've already given us a number of animatronics, but man, would I love to see a representation of the Swedish chef actually here, ideally not on the screen and in some type of a physical way, but we'll have to see if that turns out. So the food does look fun. We have the Waka Walking nachos. We also have a churro drumstick. So obviously we've got a Fozzie Bear and an animal throw in here. And then you have to have some Kermit and Miss Piggy representation. So the drinks here, we're going to have the lime pond water drink. So that's going to represent Kermit. And we have the lemonade, which is going to represent Miss Piggy. So some cool new options here as well for those foodies who want to give that a go. So on the transportation side, for the first time in 50 years, the Magic Kingdom is adding an additional ferry boat. So we're going to have 4 ferry boats that could run between the Transportation and Ticket Center as well as the Magic Kingdom. So that's going to add some extra capacity to get back and forth there. It'll also potentially let them rotate the ferry boats out if they need to do some maintenance without dramatically impacting the capacity of that transportation system. So nice to see that they're investing in that and that there is a new ferry boat coming. Typically, I tend to go for the monorail. I will fully admit this. But on my last trip, I took the ferry boat for the first time in quite a while, and it was a beautiful trip. It it feels like it takes longer, even if it doesn't take longer, but the views are amazing. I did it right before sunset, and it was absolutely stunning. So I will definitely be taking it more in the future, and I absolutely want to ride this latest version of the ferry boat. So the other one here is some new transportation directly from some of the hotels to the water parks. So especially with the, ability to go to the water parks for free on your day of check-in, this really makes sense that, you're going to arrive at your hotel, drop everything off, and probably immediately go to a water park. It used to be that you had to go to Disney Springs and then transfer from there. So it wasn't the most convenient to get to a water park. So now they've added in some additional direct transportation. Now, this is not for every hotel and it is not for both water parks. So the details here really matter. So if you are staying at Port Orleans, you are now going to have a direct bus to Typhoon Lagoon. So that is really good news for you. And if you are at one of the Animal Kingdom area hotels, you're going to get direct transportation to Blizzard Beach. So this is Art of Animation, Pop Century, Coronado Springs, Caribbean Beach, and the All-Star Resorts. So that's a huge win for those resorts, especially since they're not the closest to, parks outside of Animal Kingdom. It's nice for them to have that extra perk of that direct bus transportation to Blizzard Beach. This is also probably going to change the behavior of some people of which one they're choosing to go to. So again, you get free entry on your day of check-in to one of the two, and this is the first time in a long time that both of them have been open. So this is an interesting way to try and keep people going directly to specific ones, right? They can divide it out that they've added direct transportation to Blizzard Beach. So obviously the people staying at those hotels are much more likely to go to that one. And that might help them spread out where people are going, which park they choose, depending on where they are staying on property. So obviously May 26th, we've been leading up to this for a while. So a lot is opening here. So as we mentioned, we're going to have Soarin, we're going to have the Muppets coaster, the Mandalorian Grogu, the new version is going to be open by then as well. We also have Goofy at Communicore Hall. We have the part of the animation courtyard. We've got Bluey over at the Animal Kingdom, and we have Jesse's Roundup. So May 26th, huge day for the parks, the kickoff of the Cool Kids Summer. So if you have a trip planned in the not too distant future, you've got a lot to look forward to. So that is all of our news updates for this week. Again, thank you for joining me. Make sure that you like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and we will see you next time.